Parshas Bechukosai, Shabbos Chazak. Hard to believe, here we are once again. We're finishing Seder Vayikra. And Chazak means that we have to take stock. We have to look back at all the parshiyos that we just learned. And Chazak, we're asking that it should give us strength, that we should learn from these parshiyos, that we should become better people, and that the Torah that we learned together, the Torah that we just read over the past couple of months, should give us chizuk, chazak, the nischazek, that we should become strengthened. And really, this whole inyan of getting strength from the Torah, the beginning of this week's parsha, as we know, in Bechukosai Telechu, Rashi says, what does it mean to go with the chukim? What does it mean to keep the word, to keep the commandment of Hashem? Rashi tells us straight out, and you know that Rashi tells us shetihiyu amelim b'Torah, that going in the way of Hashem and going and doing what Hashem wants revolves around one thing. And I couldn't help thinking that everybody knows the past year, the past half year, been a very, very tough time for Klal Yisrael, befrat for the people of Eretz Yisrael, and everybody's looking for ways that they can do something, that they can improve, and everything that everybody picks and that everybody does, and all the things that people take on and they want to do for chizuk and for this and for that, a segula, all these things are wonderful. They're all wonderful. It's wonderful to run to different places around the world, in Europe and here, and to daven by this kever, to daven by that kever, to do. It's wonderful also, right, to circle, to dance 7 times this way and 7 times that way, whatever you want to do. But Rashi tells us at the beginning of this week's parsha what's going to help. All the brachas that we see after that, the Nosivos Shalom Bechukosai. How are we going to have peace, Ba'aretz? How are we going to have peace? How's it going to be quiet in Eretz Yisrael? There's only one way. Rashi tells us, Chazal tell us, Shetihiyu amelim b'Torah. And you go a little bit further in the parsha, and the Torah tells us what happens when chas v'shalom we do not listen. What happens when we do not keep the commandments? What happens when we are not Damul b'Torah? And then we have the whole Toichacha, what we read through in the parsha. But at the end of the Toichacha, the pasuk tells us that Hashem is saying that whatever happens to Klal Yisrael, Hashem is telling us over the generations, and we know that the Toichacha and different aspects of the Toichacha have played out at different times during our history. But the Torah tells us what Hashem says, Hashem says, I'm going to remember the covenant with Yaakov, va'afes brisi Yitzchak, va'afes brisi Avraham Ezkar. I'm going to remember the covenant of Yaakov, of Yitzchak, of Avraham, the Haaretz Ezkar. Now, the first thing that jumps out at everybody is that it seems to be in the wrong order. Hashem is saying He's going to remember. Why are we going backwards? Why are we saying that Hashem is going to remember Yaakov Avinu, and then Yitzchak Avinu, and then Avraham Avinu, right? Last I checked, we all know that it goes Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So Nesivos Shalom brings a medrash, the medrash in Vayikra Rabbah Lamed Vav. The medrash, when the medrash speaks about this pasuk, and obviously the medrash is being ma'orer this kasha, this question, the medrash mentions a machloikes of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel have a disagreement about a totally different subject, and from that we'll connect it to our parsha. But Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel have a disagreement about what was created first. Was the Shamayim created first, or was the Aretz created first? Now, Beis Shammai says that the Shamayim was first, and Beis Hillel says that the earth was created first. And the spirit of this week, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai comes and he says that he wonders why Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are even arguing about this. Why do they have a disagreement about this? Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says that the world was created together he uses an example of like a pot and a cover. The pot being the Oretz, the Shamayim being the top, the lid of the pot. It was created together, one separate for each other, and one goes on top of the other. That's Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, and Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, Reb Elazar ben Reb Shimon, who was the son of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, he brings proof to this opinion of his father, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and he says, you know how we know this? That almost basically every time in the Torah it says Shamayim first. Yet a pasuk is one pasuk that goes ahead and says Oretz first. B'yoim asois Hashem Elokim Eretz v'Shamayim. So we see that all the time, most of the time, it says Shamayim first. Comes one pasuk and says it the other way, so it shows us that really they are equal and interchangeable. One does not get priority over the other. One is not really before the other. And he brings a few examples of these kind of things. One of them being our pasuk. He says, just like he brings proof that Shamayim and Oretz are really on equal footing, they were created at the same time, and he brings proof from different places, and one of them is our pasuk, because most of the time he says we know Avraham Avinu is first, but over here in our parsha it goes ahead and it says Zacharti es Brisi Yaakov. I'm first mentioning Yaakov Avinu, so that in our parsha he's saying we learn from there. It shows us that each of the avos was equal, just like Shamayim and Aretz are equal, because there is a pasuk that turns it around the other way. So too, here's a reason why our parsha says Yaakov Avinu first. It shows us that the avos were equal to each other. And the Nesivos Shalom wants to discuss and explain this beautifully, as he always does, al pi derech ha'avodah. And he says like this, and for this I'm going to need Rabbi Brohl's help once again to give me the whole surrounding and the whole history of that. But he says like this to Nesivos Shalom. He says the brothers, Rav HaKodesh, the Rabbi Melech, and his brother, the Rebbe Reb Zisha, Tzchusam Yagen Aleinu, he says they had a difference of opinion. The two brothers had a difference of opinion of when a person wants to do Avodas Hashem. You wake up one morning, you have an inspiration, you want to raise your level of Avodas Hashem. So there's a difference of opinion whether a person should start with Gadlus HaBoirei, a person should work on the fact of how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. And as we know, if you speak about how great HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, we see from there that we don't have any of those. Milas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when we say how great Hashem is, we're basically and essentially coming to the conclusion of how small we really are. So, should a person begin with Gadlus HaBoirei, or should a person work the other way? You want to grow in Avodas Hashem, so you should start with Shiflus Atzmai, realizing how insignificant and how lacking we are as human beings, how lacking we are as individuals, and through seeing what we are missing, we will understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has all those things, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is great. So really we're going to end up in the same place, but where does one begin? So these were the two brothers, the Rebbe of Melech, the Rebbe of Zisha. They spoke it over with each other, and they couldn't come up with an answer. So they said they're going to go to their Rebbe, And who was their Rebbe? The Magid Agodol, Schusi Agodol, Rabbi Brol. After I expect to get all the timelines and dates and who exactly, how everybody fits into the picture. My resident historian and someone who gives me a lot of information when it comes to Rebbes. But he answered, the Magid answered them like this. And he says, like we said, Elu ve'elu divrei elikim chayim. They're both correct. But he says, but since the saying is that from the earth you can't fall any further, in other words, when you're starting with Shiflus Atzmai, when you're starting by saying that we as human beings are low, you can't get any lower. So you're starting at a definitive point, so it's Kedai to begin with Shiflus Atzmai. But he says that really they're on equal footing, and he explains by saying the Machloikis of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. And he says like this, you know how you understand the Machloikis, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel? It says it's beautiful Api Derech HaAvodah. It says Beis Shammai, as we said that the Shamayim was created first. He says, you know what that means? That means that a person should begin Avodas Hashem with Gadlus HaBoirei. A little play on words. You will start with Shamayim. Start with focusing on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Beis Hillel says that Eretz Nivreis Tchila, that the Oretz was created first. Beis Hillel is saying that you should begin with Shiflus Atzmai. With the Oretz, begin with something that is low, something that is down here. And on this, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says that he wonders what they're arguing about. Just like we said when we discussed the physical part of it, of a pot and its cover, and the Shemayim and the Oretz, Al Pi Derech HaAvodah, he says Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is talking and he wonders what they're actually arguing about. He says, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who said that they were created together, is saying, no, you can't have one without the other. Every person needs both midos. A person has to concentrate on Gadlus HaBoirei, and he has to concentrate on Shiflus Atzmai, like a pot and its cover. They have to go together. In order to have a whole pot, to have the whole thing, you have to have, in order to have shleimus as a yid, in order to have shleimus and avodas Hashem, you need to have both. And there was another way too that we can apply this machloikis of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel to another lesson. And he says, Nesivos Shalom, when it comes to tshuva, a person wants to do tshuva. How does a person start doing tshuva? Do you start with sur meira, that the first thing you have to do is cut, stop where you are, I'm going to stop doing whatever it is that I'm doing wrong? Or do we go the other way? Do we say that that's always very hard for a person to go cold turkey, to stop right away, is many, many times a tremendous challenge. Do we start, though, then with asay toiv? We tell them, just do good things. And if you continue to do good things, then the ra, the negative part, will go away. As in Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tavlin. If you keep pouring on the Torah, the Yetzer Hara will go away. If you keep learning, you keep doing good, the more good one does, the better person one becomes. So Shammai says, Shamayim Nivreis Tchila. That the Shamayim was first. Start with Torah and Avodah, and Memela, you're going to become a better person, because that's going to take up your time. And Hillel says that the Eretz was first, that you have to start with Dvorim Artziyim. You have to start with the Sur Meirah. The first thing you have to do is cut off from the negative things that you might be doing. Separate yourself from Taivas and Midas Rois. And Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says you need both together. And he says that the shleimus in Avodas Hashem is only if you have both together. So we have three very beautiful ways of understanding this Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, and how Rav Shimon Bar Yochai explains it. So the Medrash brings our pasuk of Zachartias Bisi Yaakov to tell us this theme, that a person needs the midas of the Avos, we need the Chesed, and we need the Yira, and we need the Tiferes of Yaakov Avinu, but we have to have it all together. So the Torah puts Yaakov Avinu here to tell wherever you start from, you need to just get started. Whether it's with the Sur Meirah, whether it's with the Asay Toiv, whether it's the Mid of Chesed, the Mid of Yira, you just need to get started. And having known and learned this lesson, we could say that as long as just get up and do something, Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek.